Hello, everybody. May I have your attention, please? We're going to go ahead and get started, but please continue to eat. Good afternoon. I'm David Schneider. I'm the KPMG Global Lead Partner working with Caterpillar. Thank you for joining today's program, and thank you for being here. It's an honor for me to be here. Meet Jim, fantastic person. Over the years that I've had the opportunity to work with Caterpillar, I've traveled around the world and visited many of their facilities. And something that I saw firsthand was how proud the Caterpillar employees are to work for the Caterpillar brand. For over 100 years, the Caterpillar brand has been one of the best and most recognizable brands in the world. KPMG is proud to sponsor the Executive Club's Global Leader Series, and today's program is a highlight of the fantastic programming put on by the Executives Club. The Global Leader Series brings to Chicago some of the most exciting and innovative business people in the world to audiences just like this. And it provides an opportunity for our community to learn and grow. Now, Jim Appleby, he started at Caterpillar nearly 40 years ago as an associate engineer. He held various leadership positions, moved around quite a bit, started in San Diego, moved to Peoria, now Deerfield. And he was promoted to CEO in 2017. And then in late 2018, he was elected as chairman of the board of directors. Jim serves on the board of Chevron Corporation, the U.S.-India Strategic Partnership, the U.S.-China Business Council, and he's also the trustee of Rose Holman Institute of Technology and is a member of both the Latin American Conservation Council and the Business Roundtable. Under Jim's leadership, the company moved away from expanding manufacturing capacity to focus on operating very profitably. And they did that. That reversed the 4 years of declining revenues. And in 2019, in the first quarter, they hit record earnings per share. So a great accomplishment, and it's due to Jim's leadership. Jim moved the company to Deerfield so that his executives could have easier access to the international markets. He has a commitment to innovation and a passion for providing customers with the very best products. That is why Jim is this year's International Executive of the Year. Then I'd like to take a minute to introduce Scott Santi. He's going to moderate today's discussion. Scott, thanks for being with us today. Scott is the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Illinois Tool Works. ITW is a Fortune 200 global manufacturer with revenue just under $15 billion and about 50,000 worldwide employees. Scott's very active in the business community. He's on the board of directors of W.W. Grainger, the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, the United Way of Metropolitan Chicago, the Museum of Science and Industry, the Board of Trustees of Northwestern University, good Lord, Scott, and many other Chicago cultural institutions. Scott joined ITW in 1983 and became CEO in 2012. In 2015, he was elected chairman of the board of directors. And once again, Scott, thanks for leading the conversation here. Really appreciate it. Would everybody please join me in congratulating D. James Appleby III, Chairman and CEO of Caterpillar, Inc., as the 2019 International Executive of the Year.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, David, for that very kind introduction, and thank you for honoring me with this award. I accept it on behalf of Caterpillar's 100,000 employees around the world. It's their hard work that makes this recognition possible. Our employees are dedicated to our customers' success. It's our customers that use our products to build a better world through projects that give people access to clean water, electricity, hospitals, schools, roads, bridges, and so much more. In honor of our employees, I'd like to start with a short video.
We take pride in our products, our solutions, and our people at Caterpillar. And we share a purpose to help our customers build a better world. We're committed to helping them be more successful with Caterpillar than with our competitors, with the quality products and services they need. They're the people who don't just see challenges, they see opportunity. They use our products to build the basic infrastructure that enables higher standards of living, so people have access to water, electricity, roads, and bridges. They help power the hospitals, schools, and data centers, and the ships and locomotives. They mine the minerals that make so much of modern life possible. They compress and pump the oil and gas that the world needs for energy, power, and progress. Whatever they do, wherever they do it, Caterpillar is there with expanded offerings and innovative services. We haven't always had a purpose statement, but for more than 90 years, we've had the same purpose: to help improve the lives of people around the world. And that takes more than machines and services. We have a relationship, a bond with the customer, forged in trust and integrity, revealed in the good times and the challenging times. Cat equipment and dealers are there when disaster strikes, doing the work to help communities recover.
I think we did much more than the customer expected when the competition could not respond. And it's because we had our heart in it.
Integrity, excellence, teamwork, commitment, and sustainability. They're our values in action. They form the foundation of how we help our customers build a better world.
What comes to mind is my great-great-grandfather, Benjamin Holt. When he was developing the track-type tractor, he truly believed that he could change the world and that his products and services and the company's products and services could literally change the world. And it did.
Well, I'd also like to express my thanks to the Executive Club's Chicago's chair, Denise Paul, and to the selection committee. And thanks to all of you for being here. I'm humbled to lead such a great company, and I'm honored by this award. I have one more very important person to thank. You probably know the old saying, behind every successful man is a surprised woman. I'd like to express my appreciation to my wonderful wife, Catherine, who is with us today. It would be impossible for me to lead Caterpillar without her support. It truly is a partnership. We have 2 teenage daughters at home, and she makes it all happen, keeps us all going. Catherine is the one with the brains in the family. She's an electrical engineer and a lawyer. She gave up a senior level position at a company in 2013 so we could move from San Diego to Peoria to allow me to become a group president of the Caterpillar. So thank you, Catherine. When I learned of this award, I wonder why I was chosen. As the more I thought about it, I thought, well, maybe the Executive Club wanted to ensure the lights stayed on through the entire ceremony. Let me explain. So Caterpillar built the generator set that provides the backup power here at the Fairmont Hotel. And our Illinois-based dealer, Altorfer, services it for them. And it's not uncommon to find Cat power behind the scenes in many settings, and we're proud that so many customers place their trust in us. For more than 90 years, our products have helped improve people's lives around the world. We've been involved in many major projects. I'll mention just a few: the Hoover Dam, We were very involved in building the U.S. interstate highway system, Golden Gate Bridge, Panama Canal, Three Gorges Dam in China, and again, the list goes on and on. It's something that our employees are very, very proud of when they think about our legacy and again, how we've helped improve people's lives. We help improve lives through our customers who use our machines and engines to support relief efforts, including Hurricane Harvey recovery, providing power to keep Wall Street going after 9/11, and providing a generator set to support the rescue of the young soccer players who were trapped in a cave in Thailand. We also do it through the Caterpillar Foundation, which has contributed more than $740 million since 1952 to improve people's lives around the world. The foundation is currently focused on education, basic human needs, and the environment around the world. I'm so proud of this company and its people, and I'm even more proud that I've been able to spend my entire career at a company whose values reflect my own. You're probably familiar with Caterpillar's products. Unfortunately, you probably only notice them when you're stuck in a traffic jam. But we're much more than road construction. Now, we operate three primary segments at Caterpillar. Construction Industries produces machines that build roads, bridges, and major infrastructure projects. Resource Industries builds products and machines that are primarily used for mining applications. Energy and Transportation houses a diverse group of products and businesses that includes diesel electric locomotives, gas turbine systems, and diesel and natural gas reciprocating engines that are used for a wide variety of applications, including marine propulsion, power generation, a number of oil and gas applications, and many other diverse industrial uses. Caterpillar sales and revenues last year were approximately $55 billion. We have facilities in 25 U.S. states and dozens of other countries around the world. We are a global manufacturer and have major employee populations in Germany, the UK, Japan, China, Brazil, Mexico, and India. However, we are a net exporter from the United States, and we have more employees in the United States than any other country. Our largest footprint of any state is right here in Illinois. There's a model at the center of every table that you may have noticed. It is a scale model of our D10, which is a track-type tractor, in case you're not familiar with our products. That tractor is one of the largest in the world, and we build it in only one place, our factory in East Peoria, Illinois. Then that tractor is exported to customers all around the world. Caterpillar has a well-earned reputation for the best product lines with the most productive equipment and superior product quality, something our employees take a lot of pride in. Our competitive advantages include our independent Caterpillar dealer network. With 168 dealers and about 2,000 branches, we serve customers in 193 countries around the world. And it's the most extensive service network in our industries. When customers buy a Caterpillar product, they know they will be supported by the most capable and reliable global service network. We also have more than 20 other brands within Caterpillar, including Progress Rail, Electromotive Diesel, or EMD, Solar Turbines, and Perkins. Many of the products associated with the non-Cat brand names are distributed directly by Caterpillar. Our products and our dealers make us a leader in almost every product class of the markets in which we choose to participate. We've had some challenges along the way. Between 2012 and 2016, we had the most severe downturn in our company's history. Our top-line sales declined more than 40%. We were forced to make some difficult decisions to reduce our cost structure. I was fortunate to become CEO in January of 2017, and I work with a diverse group of Caterpillar leaders to develop a new enterprise strategy for profitable growth. Our strategy is rooted in making our customers more successful using our products than they would be with our competitors. There are three main elements of our strategy: operational excellence, expanded offerings, and services. We use what we call our operating and execution model, or O&E model, to allocate resources to those areas that represent the best opportunity for future profitable growth. Our strategy's foundation is our long-standing code of conduct, our values in action. They reflect how we behave with our customers, our partners, the communities in which we operate, and one another. We expect every employee to live our values every day, every place we do business. We implemented our new strategy, as I mentioned, in early 2017. At the same time, many of our end markets started to improve. I'm very proud of the results the Caterpillar team has achieved during the last 2.5 years. Sales and revenues in 2018 were 42% higher than they were in 2016. Profit growth with adjusted profit per share more than tripled from 2016 to 2018. Even though our sales were much higher in 2012 than they were in 2018, Caterpillar achieved record profit per share last year in 2018. We set another record, as was mentioned earlier, in the first quarter of 2019, and we're doing our best to keep that going. The strength of our balance sheet has been maintained with cash on hand of $7.9 billion at the end of 2018, and our machinery, engine, and transportation operating cash flow has improved by $2.5 billion since 2016. During 2017 and 2018, we returned $7.6 billion to shareholders in dividends and share buybacks. While we've improved our financial performance, we've continued to fund research and development to help secure Caterpillar's future. During 2017 and 2018, we invested $3.7 billion in R&D. An example of Caterpillar's industry-leading technology is our autonomous mining equipment. We have the world's largest autonomous fleet of haul trucks and proven solutions for drills, dozers, underground loaders, and longwall systems. In fact, we have more than 200 autonomous trucks that have accumulated more than 47 million kilometers of autonomous driving, which is 2 times more experience than any car manufacturer. Autonomy helps our customers enhance safety and productivity, with some customers experiencing more than a 30% improvement in productivity with CAT's autonomous solutions. We're also expanding our service offerings to help our customers even more, setting an aspirational target to double our machinery, engine, and transportation services sales to $28 billion by 2026. Services includes all the ways we help our customers succeed after they buy a piece of equipment. Executed correctly, services can create value for Caterpillar, for our dealers, but most importantly, our customers. Services increase customer value by minimizing downtime, maximizing product availability, improving efficiency, and asset utilization. By enhancing customer value, Caterpillar and our dealers create the opportunity to profitably grow our businesses while dampening the impact of market cycles. One enabler of helping our customers is through our vast network of connected assets. We are working to have 1 million connected machines and engines by the end of this year, which is double the number at the beginning of 2017 when we started our new strategy. Here's what that can mean for a customer. A sensor-equipped drivetrain can alert us when a repair is required, and we can plan that work in a way that minimizes disruption to the customer's operations. This increased reliability improves our customers' productivity. Again, our strategy is always focused on helping our customers be more successful. Speaking of product reliability, maybe a good time to point out the lights are still on. As a global company, we face economic and geopolitical realities that create challenges for us. But rather than lament those realities or blame others, we focus on improving our own performance and making our customers more successful. Caterpillar is well positioned for the future as our customers invest in infrastructure, energy, and mining to meet the needs of a growing global population, an emerging middle class in the developing world, and an increasingly urbanized society. Let me close by thanking you again for this honor. It is a testament to our amazing team of employees and the work they do every day to execute our strategy and help our customers build a better world. Because of them, I am confident that Caterpillar's best days lie ahead. Thank you. So Scott is now joining me on the stage, and he was introduced earlier, but of course Scott is chairman and CEO of one of the Chicago area's great companies, ITW. And you know, Scott is in his 7th year leading ITW and has had tremendous results. So as we go along here, I think it's probably more appropriate for me to ask him questions than the other way around. So we'll see how this goes.
Come on over. Let's get into this here.
Thanks, Scott.
Good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations, Jim, on a very well-deserved honor.
Thank you.
So maybe just to get the conversation started, How about a little thumbnail of sort of the early part of your bio? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? What'd you study?
You bet.
How'd you get your first job?
Okay, well, I grew up not too far from here. I grew up in Northwest Indiana in a place called Highland. So I grew up with Chicago TV, radio. Those old people remember WLS when you were a kid on the radio. So
Could get it
all
everywhere,
of that.
yeah.
And there was always Mayor Daley growing up, so that, you remember all of that. When I got out of high school, I decided I wanted to be an engineer. And we didn't have a lot of financial resources, so the two choices were, well, in Indiana, you went to Purdue or you went to Rose-Hulman. Applied to both. Actually paid my housing deposit at Purdue, and at the last minute decided to go to Rose-Hulman. My dad had a lot of respect for the people that he worked with and his company, engineers that went there. And I got out of school at a pretty good time, so there were, I had about a dozen job offers, and when you're in Indiana in the wintertime and you're interviewing, right, there's one thing that's very exciting to, at least for me as a 21-year-old, is maybe getting a job in Florida or California or someplace like that. So the way it worked in those days, in the dark ages, is every company that came on campus would put up a sign-up sheet, and you would sign up for an interview. There were so many slots. And generally, you could interview just about any company you wanted. It was a good time to get out. But the California companies were tough for the Indiana guys. And so by the time I got to the sign-up sheet, it was full. So I put on my brown polyester suit, This was the 70s, so it was quite the look. And,
High fashion.
Yeah, high fashion. And waited to see if the interviewer might have a no-show, because that occasionally happened. And he didn't. So I walked in at the end and, shook his hand and said I was very interested in his company and asked if he had time to talk to me. And he said, well, I've got 15 minutes, sit down. So that led to an interview and a plant trip, and I wound up joining Solar Turbines, which at the time was an operating division of International Harvester. And then I was there for about 9 months, and Caterpillar bought Solar Turbines. So that's how I got to CAT.
Fantastic. And you and I share an attribute in that we both spent our entire careers at the companies that we now serve.
More and more unusual these days.
Some might say it's because we couldn't find anyone to employ us.
Some would say that, yes.
I wouldn't say that for
Can't
sure.
do anything else, yeah.
But given that, we move around, we have a variety of assignments throughout our careers, and so I wonder if you could talk to us a little bit about maybe the one or two stops along the way that you felt were most impactful for you in terms of your development and ultimately positioning you to become CEO of CAT.
Sure. My plan was, I never thought I'd be at the same company all these years, so my plan was to work 2 or 3 years and then go back and get an MBA full-time. And so 1980, late 83, I've been at Solar about 3 years, and I took the GMAT. I was applying to schools, and I had a couple of fraternity brothers that went to Kellogg, and I thought, well, if they'll let them in, they got to let me in. So, so I was filling out the applications. As
a Kellogg alum, I'll accept that as a compliment.
No, it was that was a positive. I was slamming my friends, not Kellogg. Okay. It's a very good school. It's a very good school. Was that clear? Yeah.
Let's go, you purple ties out there.
Catherine will help me with this later. All right. And a colleague of mine happened to throw an application. We had a job posting system in those days, and there was a sales engineer job in Singapore. And he said, hey, look at this. And I didn't think I'd have a shot. Way too young, too inexperienced. I was 25, about to turn 26. And I thought, well, just kind of a lark. I applied for the job, went through the process, and to my shock, got the job. I thought, all right, well, I'm going to delay that MBA. Frankly, maybe then I'll make me an even better student, right? An even better prospect
to say you can get
an MBA.
Even better school.
But no, I didn't say that. Okay. I didn't say that. I knew I had to up my game to get into Kellogg. So I figured to do that for 2 years, then get the MBA. 2 years in Southeast Asia turned into a 6, a couple different assignments, Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And it was, you asked if that's, what are those pivotal moments? That was a pivotal moment for me. In those days, of course, you and I I'm a little older than you, but there was no email, there was no cell phones. When I first got there, we had a thing called a telex, which most of you probably never heard of. That was the only way to communicate. I was so excited when we got our fax machine. So I was traveling as a 26-year-old kid, traveling around Southeast Asia, selling gas turbines, which cost millions of dollars each. You have an opportunity to sell maybe 2 or 3 projects a year. So it's very binary. So one of the things it really teaches you is about accountability. Either you win or you lose. You have to do it with values, and you have to do it the right way. But if you couldn't sell, they're going to find somebody else who can sell. And just the fact that I had an opportunity to deal in different cultures, to travel around, and in a month I'm doing business in India and in Thailand and in Malaysia and Singapore and Brunei. As a young guy, that really helped helped me develop a lot of skills, I think, and that was a big job. And then when I came back to San Diego after 6 years, and then lucky enough to have the opportunity to work in a variety of different functions. So I ran an engineering group. I was a plant manager, which was something that wasn't on my radar screen when I got out of college. I was in sales. I ran a service group, and then moved up in the company in a whole variety of functions. But I think moving across to those functions really helped me develop as a leader. And two or three times I actually went for a job and took a lower salary grade.
You took lateral or
a lateral, actually moved down a couple of times just to learn a different part of the business, right? Because if you can move up in engineering and you want to be in manufacturing, they're probably not going to give you the same level job. So that worked for me.
Yeah, really
Again, it's just
terrific.
the way to run the business.
Yeah. So let's talk about life as a CEO of CAT. So you were obviously developed a lot of leadership capability, certainly reflective of all the different opportunities you got. So talk to us a little bit about sort of how you would describe your overall, let's call it a philosophy from the standpoint of how you lead, and then maybe some thoughts about how that's maybe had to evolve or be adjusted from the perspective of your current role as CEO.
Yeah. As you know very well, it's very different. You kind of think you know what it's like to be in the chair, and then you really don't until you're in it. So, one of the things, of course, that's very different is just the demands on your time, and the need to prioritize. It becomes very important. But I like a good, healthy debate about issues, and for us, it really came down to when we launched this new strategies. We got that team together, as I mentioned in my prepared remarks, and we debated what should we do, what do we want to do differently, how do we run the company, what should our metrics be. What should our governance be? What do we want to change? And so I think having those debates and about that strategy is so important. And I like to hear different points of view. But then once we decide, everybody needs to come together and then support that idea as if it were their own, even if it didn't go their way. And as you know, communication is so important. So, even though we're 2.5 years into this, the continual communication to make sure everybody understands what we're trying to do and why. Having the right metrics, governance. We've changed the way we spend our time together. We have to spend.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
We try to spend our time on the most impactful things, right? The big strategic decisions that we have to make. Because obviously, if we don't make them, who will? And as you know, it's so easy to get pulled. There's so many demands on your time, so many things that one can do as a CEO that add value. So it's not a matter of deciding to spend time on things that add value or things that don't add value. It's a priority list. They all add value. What can I really spend time on? So that's been something which has had to evolve, and I'm getting better at it every day. I'm not perfect, but it's been important.
So what's been the most different than what you expected a couple of years into the job?
Yeah, I'd say again, demands on your time is a big one. Spent some time with investors and analysts prior to becoming CEO. Obviously, when you become CEO, you spend a lot more time doing that. And as you know, there's all the issues from media, from government officials, from investors, board meetings every 2 months. So it leaves very little time to do other kinds of things.
Great. So let's sort of pivot to your strategy. And you did a great job of laying out in your remarks the sort of the what of the strategy. I was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit more about the why behind it. Sure. What were some of the issues ultimately that you felt led to the need to make a pretty significant pivot in terms of CAT's overall strategy?
Yeah. So we did a few things, and again, we didn't throw out everything we were doing. A lot of great things about the way the company used to be run, but we have changed some things. And again, we really sat down and thought about how we can profitably grow the company. How do we run the railroad, so to speak? And we focused on 3 areas, as I mentioned earlier. One is operational excellence, which is lean, quality, safety, which is very important to us, and having a competitive and flexible cost structure. The reality of our business is that we go through cycles, and it's important that every time we make a capital investment, that we consciously think about the fact that there will be a cycle. I'm not predicting one today, but the reality is over 40 years.
That'll come later. We'll get to that.
Over 40 years, there will be cycles that we have to deal with. So really being very conscious and modeling it out from a financial perspective so that we understand, again, we're going to make that capital investment, what does it mean? So that's one element of the strategy. And that did change some things.
And was that part of the experience for the prior 4 years when you had this?
Part of it. It was quite
40% peak to trough dip. It was
quite painful. I mean, and again, not a criticism because none of us can accurately predict what the market's going to do.
Right.
But we had a very nice run up, between after the financial crisis through 2012, where our volumes increased very, very rapidly. We added a lot of capacity from a manufacturing perspective, and then we had just, again, as I mentioned earlier, that tough 4-year downturn. So again, those kind of experiences produce scars on your body, and it makes you think about how you want to operate the business going forward.
Is it a fair description to say you're looking to sort of less optimize the peak and more, sort of operate through the cycle it's going to still be volatile, but maybe smooth it out a little in terms of...
Yeah, and there's a variety of ways we're trying to do that. One is thinking about how we work with our supplier. What do we do internally? What do we do externally? How do we work with our suppliers? And that's all part of that as well. But yes, that is part of it. Okay. Second element of our strategy is what we call expanded offerings. So Caterpillar has been well known for many, many years for having the most productive equipment, the best, if you will. And what we found is there's a growing class of customers that we call lifecycle value customers that either didn't need or couldn't afford the most productive piece of equipment with the latest bells and whistles. And what we were doing is discounting that premium product to compete from a lifecycle value perspective. So we decided to expand what we call lifecycle value products, which still have very good quality, but they may not be quite as productive as the most productive piece. And as an example, even the same customer, let's say there's a customer that has a large site, and at the job face, where the machine is operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's important to have the most productive piece of equipment. But in the back, they may have some machine they run 4 hours a day to do some cleanup. Do they really need the most productive piece of equipment for that 4 hours a day? So again, a bit of a change there. And because we were discounting those premium products to compete, it was hurting our profitability and the profitability of our dealers. So that's part of our strategy. Okay. And the third one that we've talked a lot about recently is services. We have a great opportunity there. Certainly providing good service support has always been part of our legacy, but we're really trying to take it to the next level. And digital and all the things happening there really does enable that. It's a different game. And I mentioned that we're driving to have 1 million connected machines and engines by the end of the year, and just create so many opportunities for Caterpillar and our dealers.
So just for the audience, when I'm glancing down here, I've got a handy-dandy iPad where your questions are coming in. So we certainly encourage you to participate in the dialogue here. And let me come back to digital. Can you give us, sort of from a customer seat perspective, how does maybe digital impact CAT's ability to serve its customers today, and maybe what might that look like in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, so everything, as I mentioned earlier, everything has to be rooted in customer success, or else it just won't work long term. So if you think about, and I think about my own experience, I grew up in our gas turbine business, and when I got there, the way it worked, gas turbine is just like it's a jet engine, really. It's the same basic thing. And when an engine on an American Airlines jet needs overhaul, you don't take the jet out of service, you drop the engine off, put an exchange on, and it flies again. What we used to have is very time-based criteria for when you pull that engine and overhaul it on those gas turbines. They typically run in oil and gas applications, gas compression, offshore production, or we had alarms, and if a bearing would start to vibrate, we'd pull the engine and overhaul it. So what we've been able to do now through connecting assets, through AI, through really utilizing both our deep domain expertise and digital, we've managed to avoid failures, maximize availability, reduce downtime, and we've moved what we call the time between overhauls pretty significantly, from about 30,000 hours to about 40,000 hours in most cases, and it's made our customers more productive, and it's been a win-win.
It's because you're getting real-time
data we're monitoring
on the performance of the piece of equipment.
And if that bearing started to vibrate that I mentioned earlier, and again, in the old days you would pull that engine and overhaul it, now we say, you know what, we're monitoring 6 or 7 other parameters. We're going to keep an eye on those. We know because we have enough units of this particular model of this application in our database that if the relationship between those parameters stays within certain guidelines, chances are, I'll make this up, 87% that bearing will make it to the next overhaul, so the customer doesn't have to pull it. So that's an example. It's a real win for the customer. If you stop and think about an offshore oil and gas application, pulling a gas turbine, you don't produce oil if you don't have a gas turbine running. Yeah. It's a huge issue for a customer. So again, it's done a lot for us and for our customers. So I think, again, different kinds of applications when Cat machines won't be the same kind of value proposition it will be for a skid steer that you might buy for your backyard. Actually, Scott, you could use one of those. I'll talk to you later about that. As it would be, let's say, a mining truck that runs 24/7. But still, there's applicability there.
So let's drill down one more time on one more level on that. So talk about the tech talent piece of that.
Yeah.
So how are you able to attract tech talent into? I'm a product of the environment. I'm a big fan of the old world industrial companies. So this is not a slam in any way, but in the tech world, some might not look at an ITW or a CAD as a particularly sexy place to be right now. So how do you go about recruiting in that space?
Well, I think both our companies are pretty sexy, but we'll stay with
We'll just sit up here. We'll forget you guys are here, and we'll talk about it.
So, as we looked at things we needed to do differently, frankly, one of the, I think ITW and Caterpillar, most people spent their whole careers there, right? It's very common, certainly at CAT. And what we concluded is in an area like digital, we needed to bring in people from the outside. So we've hired a new digital head. We may have some actually employees here from our office in the city here in Chicago. We are hiring new talent. We are actively recruiting people that have experience in this area. So again, we're very excited to be in the city of Chicago. We opened an office there about a year or two ago, and we're quickly ramping up. But part of that is bringing in new talent. So that won't be our only center. We're a global manufacturer. We'll have more than one hub.
Sure.
But bringing in new talent with people that have expertise that we traditionally didn't have, like people like you and I, is very, very important. So that's something we're very committed to do. We're out there competing for talent like everybody else in that area.
You bet. So let's sort of step back and maybe talk a little bit about the CAT culture overall.
Yeah.
So we're both long tenured people. We're a product of that culture. First of all, how would you describe the CAT culture in a couple of minutes, and then maybe some thoughts about sort of the strengths and weaknesses of those attributes in the current environment? What do you want to make sure doesn't change with your new strategy? Maybe some parts of that you think need to evolve.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly very proud of the Caterpillar culture. We have a long history, of course, 90-some years. The main elements, when I think of the Caterpillar culture, what I think about is values first and foremost. The way we deal with our customers, our dealers, each other, government officials, that's the bedrock, and that obviously remains very, very important. The focus on the customer, making sure they're successful, that's very, very important. So again, I think I'm very proud of the CAT culture. But obviously the world changes, and certain things that I think need to change is that the world is changing at an increasingly rapid pace. Business delivery methods, methodologies. So we need to move faster. And I think we need, and I mentioned this earlier, be more open to bringing in some outside talent. Traditionally, if you were at Caterpillar's executive office, which is my direct reports, you always spent 30 years at the company to get there. And we just recently recruited a CFO from the UK from the outside. We have a wonderful CHRO we recruited from the outside, Cheryl Johnson. So again, it's a mixture of being open to to outside talent,
Sure,
as well as internal talent, and having the best team regardless of where it comes from. And with a particular focus on those areas like digital, where we know we just didn't have the internal expertise.
Yeah.
But again, we're not trying to throw away all the good parts of the CAT culture. There are many, many elements of that.
And sort of beyond the culture, from the standpoint of how you manage talent inside the organization today, how has that evolved? Sort of what is the right, what does the best sort of career path lane look like at CAT today versus maybe what it used to be, and sort of how intentional are you being around executing to that?
And we're attempting to be very intentional, and we have leadership development plans for all levels within the organization. And we have a very diverse customer base. We're a very global company. So having a diverse pipeline of employees and future leaders that mirrors the diversity of our customer base, our geographies, and the communities in which we operate is very important to us. And so I'm a big believer that the best developmental opportunities is not sitting in a classroom, listening to a speech, but it's really doing a job, right? That's how you learn, that's how I learned. And to get those future leaders, that diverse group of future leaders in those diverse sets of experiences as early as possible in their career so they can learn, again, so they have the opportunities like I had to be in engineering, to be in manufacturing, to be in service, to be in sales, I think is very valuable. And we're lucky enough that we have, again, operations all over the world. So to give people the opportunity to work in Europe, to work in Asia, to move across functions, I think is just a wonderful development opportunity.
Yeah, terrific. So let's maybe step outside of Caterpillar a little bit. I don't know that we can let the day go without a little bit of discussion on China.
Sure.
And would love to hear your sort of lens on how specifically some of the, let's call it trade angst, has affected Caterpillar in the short run, how you see China strategically for Cat over the long haul, et cetera. So,
Caterpillar has long been a very strong advocate for free trade. It's been part of our DNA forever. Speaking of China specifically, after Richard Nixon went to China in the 70s, we believe we were the first U.S. company to actually sell something to the Chinese after Richard Nixon swung open the trade doors. Sold 36 pipe layers. And so China is an important market to us. We have more than 10,000 employees there we highly value. Most of the product we manufacture in China is for China. We've vertically integrated our supply chain. As I mentioned, we're a net exporter out of the U.S., and so we also manufacture products in Germany and the U.K. and many other countries around the world. But free trade is good for all of us. I think to use the phrase that's used too often, maybe that I think that the rising tide it raises all boats. It's not a zero-sum game. So we have obviously encouraged governments around the world, the U.S. government, the Chinese government, and other governments around the world to work together to resolve the issues and recognize there are some issues there that do need to be resolved, but to resolve those issues so we can all move forward. And free trade, absolutely convinced, facilitates global economic growth, and that's a good thing for all of us. Again, it's not a zero-sum game. So obviously we are following the issues, and it seems to change every day.
Which is part of the problem.
That's right.
Yeah.
And our government affairs team is very engaged. But we are very well positioned to deal with this. Again, some companies just manufacture in China and import into the U.S. Some just manufacture in the U.S. and export. We have a global manufacturing base, which positions us well to deal with some of these issues.
Yeah.
But again, would we like to see them get resolved? Yes. And would that be a positive for us? It certainly would be.
Yeah.
But again, understand that.
Wouldn't we all? Yes.
Yeah, there are some issues there.
Yeah. So you have a tremendous geographic reach in terms of your products are used all over the world. Is there a particular country or market that you've got your eye on, you and your colleagues at CAT, where you'd say, this is one that's not on everybody's radar, but we think over the next 10 or 15 years, given the, let's call it the sort of political and economic potential there, that there's something that you think is really worth paying attention to, and you are?
Margaret, are there any competitors in the room? No, I'm just kidding. We operate, we sell products and service products literally in every country around the world unless we're precluded from doing so by the U.S. government. I'm lucky enough that my predecessors understood the importance of investing in China in the early days,
right,
when it first opened up. And again, it's now 5 to 10% of Caterpillar's total sales. So we're everywhere. If I looked at one area that holds a lot of promise, I think, is the African continent. Obviously, still a lot of development to go there.
Sure.
But it's an important one. And India is also an area, it's the fastest growing economy in the world. And,
and they need a lot of infrastructure. So
they need a lot of infrastructure.
Ship and deliver our products in that country. So.
Exactly. And I think, the government's making a lot of good moves to help facilitate economic growth there. So that's an important area as well. But again, we're everywhere. And there was a lot of promise in India for a long time, and I think it's starting to actually occur. A lot of promise in Africa, and let's hope that happens as well.
Terrific. So we got to talk a little bit about the corporate office move. So I know not your favorite topic necessarily, but you did it for some very important strategic reasons. So give us a couple minutes on why you felt like it had to happen, why now was the time, and ultimately, has it resulted in what you were hoping it would do for the company?
Sure. Well, like a lot of manufacturing companies, headquarters kind of built up around where your factories were, and that was certainly the case for us. And we have a very large footprint in the Peoria area, about 12,000 employees, very highly valued employees. But Caterpillar has changed over the years. We're a very global company. A significant percentage of our sales come from outside the U.S. We have employees all over the world, so stop and think about that employee number for a minute. We have more than 100,000 employees, and about 12% are in Peoria. They're very important employees, but it is 12% out of 100,000. And frankly, being closer to a major airport, our new office in Deerfield is 20, 25 minutes from O'Hare. We're able to get on the plane and fly anywhere in the world, mostly direct. And even more importantly than us, it makes it so much easier for our employees, our customers, and our dealers to come and see us. So we're much more accessible. So one of the goals was to make ourselves more accessible to our global employees, our customers, and our dealers. And I think we've accomplished that. I met with a dealer, within the last week. I've met with 4 dealers, 2 from Europe, 1 from South Africa, and 1 from Asia. And they all remarked about it's a lot easier because it basically, again, getting to Peoria it adds about a day to an international trip, and time is money, right? And so if we can use that time more productively, that's a good thing for all of us. So that was part of it, make us more accessible. Again, we didn't move very many jobs.
What's the total at the corporate office?
So what we have in the Chicago area now is we have our Deerfield office, which is it's going to be, when it's all done, less than 300. We probably moved it about 100, and don't hold me to these numbers, but I haven't checked in a while, but we probably moved about 130. I think we have about 150 there. So I think about 150 jobs out of 12,000, isn't that? Yeah. It's not as significant, but it's
relative to the press. For sure.
Yeah, and yes, and again, what we told the community was that in Peoria was that if in fact our new strategy works, if in fact we're more successful as a company, it'll be a good thing for all of our employees, including those in Peoria, and that's turned out to be the case. And the other thing, frankly, is that we talked about digital, and we talked about the fact that we need to be able to recruit a different kind of employee for certain aspects of our business like digital, and there's a wider, deeper talent pool here. We talked about the fact that
Peoria, Silicon Valley, that was just not that's a tough.
And Peoria's a wonderful place. We loved it. My daughter still hasn't forgiven me for us leaving.
Yeah, I know.
We really did enjoy
it.
It's a wonderful community.
Yeah.
But again, it is a wider, deeper talent pool here.
Sure.
And that's part of it as well. So I think it has given us the benefits we wanted. The headquarters is in Deerfield because we really wanted that airport access. But we'll actually wind up having more employees in the city. We're at 540 West Madison. It's our digital center. We have some marketing people there, parts distribution. And so we're ramping up there as well.
Okay.
So again, we have both facilities, Deerfield and in the city.
Yeah, great. So how about let's talk about their corporate social responsibility, and that's obviously from the standpoint of both our employees, our investors. It's becoming a topic of significant focus and interest, and maybe you can give us a sort of thumbnail around how you're thinking about that area, what particular pieces of the things that go under that heading are particularly relevant to CAT, and maybe how you see that evolving inside CAT over the next few years.
Yeah, it certainly is obviously very important to us and has been for a long time. I mentioned the Caterpillar Foundation was formed in the early 50s and has donated more than $700 million to very good causes around the world. But we take our responsibilities in the communities in which we operate very, very seriously. We encourage our employees, and they do, wherever we are, whether it's in the US, whether it's in China, whether it's in Germany, in the UK, our employees are very involved in the community, activities like the United Way, giving back and making a positive impact. It's not just all about making money. It's about having a positive impact on the communities in which we operate. Sustainability we added as a core value recently, and we're very proud of the role that we play in sustainability. From the money we invest, so that we have a big remanufacturing business, so we remanufacture products. We have invested very, very significant amount of money over the years to improve our emissions profile from our engines. We've invested billions over the years to make our products more environmentally friendly. That continues. So again, that's part of our DNA and what we do. But it is an important part of our business.
Great. So I just got the wrap-up signal. So I'm gonna close with a question around sort of what would be given your experience and all the things that you have seen and done around in terms of your journey across your career, what would you offer in terms of advice to someone who wants to develop strong leadership skills and maybe run a company, big or small, someday?
Yeah, for me, again, as I mentioned earlier, taking a chance and putting yourself in very difficult situations. I think the best development opportunities are jobs that are very, very hard. I mean, I've jumped in the deep end of the pool a few times.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have as well, where you maybe didn't have the best experience, compared to maybe others who have been in that area for a long time. But learning new things, moving across functions, moving across geographic areas, always learning. I mean, learning is a never-ending journey, as you know. So I try to learn every day. I had an economics professor in college who suggested we start reading the Wall Street Journal, and I've done it every day since I won't tell you how long, for a long time. And I also read the New York Times now, so I get an alternate point of view. So, but it's, again, never stop learning. Obviously, we're looking for employees that have a proven track record of achieving results, of meeting their commitments. And if you have an employee that meets their commitments, a diverse set of experiences, a diverse background, that's a really winning combination.
Great. Well, thank you. Congratulations again.
Scott, thank you very much.
Great to have you here in Chicago.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So Kevin Cook from Edelman is up for some closing remarks.
And I do have one more, if I may. Sorry.
Sure.
I know you're in charge, but I get to do one. Thank you again. I was very, very thankful that Scott was willing to do this. Very kind of him. But as a small token of our appreciation, we'd like to present you with your own scale model.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm honored to accept. Thank you.
All right, we're going to get to the scale models at all your tables here in a second, but be patient. But
I was stealing this regardless. So it's nice of you to give it to me, though, so thank you.
So first of all, thank you both, Scott and Jim. Good afternoon. My name is Kevin Cook. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Chicago office of Edelman. One little known fact that we haven't talked about that I learned earlier this morning is Jim endeavored and dreamt of playing second base for the Chicago Cubs when he was a boy. Is that right? Is that true?
I was about 8 years old, yeah.
You're about 8 years old. When I was about 8, I wanted to play third base for the Chicago Cubs. I think you and I would have made a heck of a double play combination. We'll never know, but we dream nonetheless. But seriously, Jim, Caterpillar is truly the backbone of the global economy and will undoubtedly continue to prosper under your leadership, truly making the world a better place. Congratulations again on being named International Executive of the Year.
Thank you.
I also want to thank our gracious hosts, the Executives Club of Chicago, for today's engaging conversation. If you're curious about upcoming programs, visit www.executivesclub.org for information about the remaining events this season, membership benefits, leadership development, and more. Okay, now, for the denouement we've been waiting for, before you depart today, it's time to see if you're the lucky winner of the Cat D10 Dozer found at your table. Whoever at the table has a birthday either on or closest to February 17 is the lucky winner. And why this day?
20th.
Is that your birthday?
Do I need to say that again?
Why did we pick that?
A birthday either on or closest to February 17 is the lucky winner. It's the date that the D10 Dozer was rolled off the production line. Just be grateful you're not taking home the real one, which is about 77 tons. So this one is actually manageable. So congratulations to the winners. Thank you again. We will adjourn.